Lindsay is in fact chair of the Lea Valley Industrial Heritage Alliance, also the founder of the Pump House in Walthamstow, which you can see the picture of there now, and is going to talk about the industrial heritage of Lea Valley. So give a warm welcome to Lindsay Collier.
Thank you, Gary. Nice to see so many of you tonight. It's very cold, isn't it, out there, eh? I'm very surprised to see so many of you, but thank you for coming. I got interested in the Lea Valley when I started the Pump House all those years ago. A guy called Jim Lewis, you may have heard of Jim Lewis. He's a guy who wrote several books, more than several books, about 20 books on the Lea Valley. And he inspired me to not only do the Pump House, but also the can't see a thing. That's it. That's better. Also to start learning about the Lea Valley, and eventually we started the actual Lea Valley Heritage Alliance in 2017 with Jim Lewis, a guy called Ralph Ward, and a few others, because we thought that the Lea Valley is so important. It's the second industrial revolution, which really should be told, and it hasn't. And we started off with a presentation at City Hall, and then we moved later on to the House of Commons, where we did a presentation. But unfortunately, 2 weeks after we did the presentation at the House of Commons, the COVID came in. So there really was nothing done for 2 years. So we sort of fell back a little bit, and we said, well, where are we going to go from here? So we decided then to do a website. This is not the website. There is a website about to go live very shortly, but it's not live yet, but very similar to what you're going to see today. I don't know what you know about the Lea Valley, but it's a very interesting place. Right, the Lea Valley starts from Luton at Lea Grave Marshes and goes all the way down to Bow Creek. I don't know how many people have walked the valley, because quite a few people do walk along the Lea Valley all the way up and down. I wouldn't do it. It's about 50 miles apparently, so 52 miles. Lea Valley navigation. Now this was basically brought in because boats were trying to go up and down the Lea Valley, and unfortunately what happened is there is lots of people taking water from the valley, so the boat, there's dams and God knows what else going on, so a lot of people couldn't get their boats up and down, so they brought in the navigation. And here's a nice picture of the boats. This is actually at Tottenham How, because it was very, very used as a highway years ago, not so much now, for coal, everything, wood, timber, fruit and veg. It goes all the way back to the Roman times. Nice picture of, I think that's actually at Tottenham How with the barges there. There's a few barges at Tottenham How still. And years ago, of course, transport in the Lea Valley was horse and cart like this. This is a Roman horse and cart. And actually the Lea Valley history goes back to the Romans, believe it or not. So our journey starts at Lea Grave Marshes, source of the River Lea in Luton, famous for hats. Remember the Hatters? And Luton Town is called the Hatters Football Club, not my team, but there you go. Yeah, they still manufacture hats at Luton. And this is Hewitt and Blomview Limited, Luton aircraft manufacturers. They started manufacturing in the early 1900s, and they manufactured the Avro aircraft. And we got a big collection with Avro in the Lea Valley. Some of you know about on the Walthamstow Marshes. But the Avro 504 was made there, and made many there, and she was also, was the first woman to receive a British pilot's licence, and she started the factory. Now, a lot of people, what you find out today is lots of industrial firsts in the Lea Valley. There's probably more industrial firsts in the Lea Valley than anywhere in the world, and you'll see some of them today. And of course, we all know Vauxhalls. Well, Vauxhalls originated actually from where it says Vauxhall in South London, and they actually moved to Luton in 1914, and they're still going today. In World War II, they built Churchill tanks at Luton, and they actually used a Bedford engine in the tanks. At the bottom there you can see a Bedford car with a Churchill tank behind it. And of course also trucks, Bedford and Commer trucks. AEC built trucks as well at Walthamstow, and there was Straker Squires. This is one of the famous Bedfords, obviously the Green Goddess, and the Commers there, Commer truck. You probably, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, I'm sure we're all not that old, but they used to have a Commer lorry that used to do the fizzy drinks. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Corona, that's the one. You got it, yeah. Right, we're talking about the New River. Now, the New River opened in 1613 to bring fresh water from Hertfordshire, Chadwell and Elmwell Springs, down into London. He actually went, it actually finished at by Sadler's Wells Theatre. Today it's still being used, but most of the water that they take from the Lea Valley now goes into the reservoirs at Chingford and further down. But you can still see the, hello, what's going on here? Still see the river flowing today. Now, one of my favourite subjects. This is McMullen's Brewery, Hertford. They're one of the oldest breweries actually in the Lea Valley. I know Tom McMullen very well, and he's actually one of our sponsors when we did our presentation at City Hall. They've actually got steam carriage which goes out, and I hope in the future we might get the steam carriage at Chingford in the station hub. It'd be nice to see that. Right, this is the first balloon flight in England up the Lea Valley. Italian guy, I'm not going to pronounce his name because I'm not very good at Italian. In 1874, he flew from Moorfields in London, right up the Lea Valley, and came down, and then went up again. So it's the first descent and ascent in the Lea Valley, and he took his cat and his dog with him, and a pigeon apparently, so I've been told. And here we are, first balloon flight. This is a Lea Valley first, aviation. There are a lot of aviation firsts in the Lea Valley, and I would regard it as the home of British aviation. There we go, 1874. Wickhams of Ware. Now, a lot of people wouldn't know Wickhams of Ware, but Wickhams of Ware produced rail cars. They started off as a brewing company, and then they went on to design the Wickham trolley. Now, the Wickham trolleys are used today on preservation railways as maintenance trolleys. The Wickhams of Ware, you can see on the left, and inside them, we've got another one to show you. They use Wareite on the buses and the old trains. Inside the plastic panelling was Wareite. There's a picture of Wareite furniture. Oh, there you go. More aviation. De Havilland Company Limited. Here we go. The world's first jet airliner, the Comet, made at Hatfield. That's in Dan Air colours. The reason in Dan Air colours because at the end of its life as BOAC couldn't make it work. So Dan Air took it over, and they made the Comet profitable, but BOAC didn't. And there was one given to the Duxford Museum in that colour. And unfortunately, somebody at Duxford decided to paint it back in the British Airways POC colours. And they still don't know who did it, but that's what they did. There we go. First passenger carrying monorail in the world. Constructed by Henry Palmer, opening 1825. It was opened at Cheshunt, and the idea was that it would carry bricks from a brickfield to the River Lee. But what happened was, on its opening, it carried passengers. And you can look at the carriage at the front, the top, and you can just see it's got a canopy over. Not sure who was in that carriage, but obviously somebody important. But Henry Robertson Palmer also invented corrugated iron. It was used in Anderson shelters to corrugate, the corrugated iron. And that's a sort of image of how the monorail was. It was balanced on each side. Can you imagine people sitting in those? Yeah, I was there, obviously, but the valley that fed London. 1930s, the valley contained the largest concentration of greenhouses in the world. The Lea Valley is often described as cucumber capital of Britain, or London salad bowl, producing 75% of Britain's cucumber, sweet peppers and aubergines. So today you can still see a lot of the greenhouses. There's still a lot in the Lea Valley, and still producing our fruit and veg. The gunpowder mills, the Royal Gunpowder Mills at Waltham Abbey. Unfortunately, I've been there just recently, and it needs an awful lot of work on the gunpowder mills to bring it back. And I think they're trying to revitalise its offer. And we had a meeting with them because we wanted to enhance the Lea Valley Heritage Alliance and have somewhere physically where we could go and have a museum celebrating the Lea Valley. So we had a meeting, but when we went there, we was very disappointed the conditions of the building. But one of the most important explosives that was made at the Lea Valley was the RDF explosive. That was actually used in the bouncing bomb. And a little story about the bouncing bomb. I met the guy who designed Barnes Wallis's granddaughter. And I said to her, you know about the bouncing bomb, don't you? She said, what's that? I said, well, Barnes Wallis did invent the bouncing bomb, but he didn't invent how it worked. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, it span like that. She said, yeah. So I said, well, that was the vision of a guy called Sir George Edwards, who was a Chingford man. And he said, oh, no. I said, yes, he designed it because he was a cricketer. And he told Barnes Wallis how to get the bomb spinning. And that's why it used to hit the dam, spin and go down. And that's the origins of bouncing bomb. Of course, Sir George Edwards designed anybody know? The Concorde. There's a plaque actually in the Chingford Himes Park. Oh, you spoiled. Well, you spoiled it, didn't you? Himes Park, yeah. And so there you go. Royal Small Arms Factory made many guns. The most famous gun they made there is the Enfield rifle, which I believe is still used today. Members again of the Lea Valley Heritage Alliance, like the gunpowder mills. And it's got a little small museum there. And it's worth a visit if you can go there. Not much to see, but a little room about this size. Got quite a few guns on show. Wright's Flour. Now Wright's, G.R. Wright's and Sons, they started making flour in the Lea Valley. There's a mill across the Lea Valley Road on the left-hand side. You can still go in there. They're one of the founder sponsors of the Alliance when we did the City Hall thing, and just recently give us some funding for the website, which I'll go into later on. Eddie Swan. Now, this is on, I don't know if you see the BBC programme yesterday about what was made in Britain, Victorians made in Britain. Well, this actually came up about Edison and Swan. Well, Edison, he claimed that he invented the light bulb. Well, in fact, he didn't. It was Swan. And there are fisticuffs and court cases about, I did it first, no, I did it first, no, I did it. At the end, they decided to form a company called Eddie Swan, which was actually in Brimsdown, Ponders End. And the most important invention of that was the diode valve. The diode valve enabled current to go one way, but not come back the other way. Now, without that, I wouldn't be talking to you today. We wouldn't be having the screen, wouldn't be having lights, wouldn't be having television, wouldn't be having cookers, wouldn't have fridge. Anything electronic, that came with Duckley's Lane, Ponders End. Diode valve on the left. And of course, it's got Beavertown Brewery there now, actually in that factory. Well, so, yeah, it's interesting. Of course, again, not Lea Valley first, the diode valve. First fully transistor colour television receiver in the world, Ferguson TV, made again. Of course, in the Lea Valley, another first. Electronics. And we've got Belling, Baby Belling. Who remembers Baby Bellings? Yeah, I think we have one at the Pump House Museum. But they celebrate the 100 years in 2019, 2012. There's other things that Belling did, but I think there's a website about Belling which you can go onto. A lot of this stuff you can actually find, what I'm showing you today, on websites, but it's not been all joined together. It's fragmented, and that is the problem with the Lea Valley's heritage. It's all fragmented. There's not one people, no person except for us, who've put it together. There we are, Alexandra Palace. You see a lot of things going on there lately, the darts and the snooker. And it was more than a people's palace because we had, in 1898, we had the first electric tramway in London going up to the palace. On the bottom there, 1905, Lea Valley airship, the Barton airship. Now this flew from Alexandra Palace and got a wind caught it, and it ended up at Ilford, and accidentally when it crashed, they actually let the air out the airship, so that was the end of that. But that's the Barton airship. A lot of people don't know about that airship. Sounds like somebody's phone going. Might be mine. Might be the council. Right, also in 1907, A.V. Rowe flew his model planes at Alexandra Palace. And that basically, from his model, basically launched Britain's aviation as we know it today. Because A.V. Rowe, as you probably know, was a pioneer of aviation. We're going to go into that a bit more as we go on. And of course, another first, BBC, first high-definition broadcast, Alexandra Palace, 2nd November 1936. I don't know what that is, sounds like mine going. Is it somebody over there's got the phone going, or is it mine? Don't know who it is. Answer that, will you? So there we go, another first in the Lea Valley. Lotus cars. Unfortunately, I haven't got one, but I would like one. Founded by Colin Chapman in Hornsey in 1953 and moved to Cheshunt in 1957. And in 1966, the company moved to Hythal, where they still are. A the factory was actually at, you can see the picture of the factory up the top there. And of course, Colin Chapman got involved with de Havilland, not de Havilland, the other American guy, I can't remember his name there. And it was got quite serious and nearly taken to the cleaners by the government. I can't think of his name off the top of my head at the moment, it's gone now. But yeah, Lotus, another famous motor company. Jap Engines, J. Prestwick. They made motorcycle engines in Tottenham, and they also made a monoplane. Well, the monoplane was actually being made under the arches in Tottenham Marshes with A.V. Rowe, but they fell out. He couldn't decide whether to make a monoplane, a triplane, and Rowe was carrying on with the triplane, which we all know about, we'll know in a minute. But they also built motorcycle engines. Now, I would claim that the motorcycle industry actually started in Tottenham. It didn't start in Birmingham, because all those Jap engines in that motorcycle were actually used in the Triumph motorcycles. And of course, that's a Speedway bike, and Speedway actually started at High Beach. People don't know that. There was a Speedway track at High Beach. Yeah. Here's actually a picture of the monoplane being assembled. And one of the ladies in the front there, the one in the black overcoat, was overall, was one of the first lady engineers in Britain. And she worked at J. Prestwick's. There we go. Here's the Speedway, the High Beach. And there's a programme from Walthamstow showing the Speedway. I never went to Speedway. Went to stock cars, but not Speedway. But there we are, High Beach. Anybody go to High Beach Speedway? Yeah, there you go. And we have furniture makers. Of course, the famous one was Liebes's down at Tottenham. And they made many different types of furniture. Anyway, we're moving up to Chingford now. This is the Chingford Aerodrome, the Royal Naval Air Service Station at Chingford in 1915, which was through the Lea Valley, between the reservoirs on the left-hand side. But unfortunately, what happened was it got covered over when they built the Girling Reservoir. There is some traces of it there. Now, I have in my collection an invitation to a party there, when I've never ever, well, a long while ago, of course, but I've never ever seen anything relating to the aerodrome. And I actually picked it up off eBay, and I couldn't believe it. It was there. I went, well, I love that, you know. Never done a, what's this place? Never heard of it. This is, of course, when the Queen Victoria gave the forest to the public. And an interesting story about that, when the train came in there, it was actually a Great Eastern Railway locomotive. It was painted blue. And the carriages were actually Great Western, because there was a connection with the Great Western and the director of the Great Eastern Railway then. And after that, all the Great Eastern engines were painted blue. So there you go. And that's obviously not there anymore. I don't remember that. Not that old. But we did, I don't know if some of you went to the exhibition we did at Chingford, yeah? Right, anybody know who that is? No? That's Amy Johnston, the famous aviator. Walthamstow Stadium, when she opened the stadium up. And that was actually given to me, with a load of road pictures, by the Chandlers. And I went over there and they said, oh, what would you like? I said, what have you got? They said, we've got programs, Graham programs, videos, picture. Oh, that's fantastic, I said. But as you know, unfortunately, Amy Johnston disappeared over the Thames. Never to be found on a training flight. There you go. Yeah, the Chandlers actually showed me the books, their books, proper books, not dodgy ones, proper ones. They was losing money. But I always said that if they closed one side of the stadium and kept the other side open, and built houses on the other side, then it could have been profitable. Because I used to go there quite often when I did live in Walthamstow. Associated Equipment Company Limited, offices by Black Horse Road Station, all gone now. Wonderful tower blocks there. That is going to be a problem in the years to come, believe you me. That was the factory. The front of the factory there, they had a railway line going in into the factory, so they can take buses and lorries and other things out from the factory on the railway track to wherever they want to take them. This is inside the factory, AC, where they actually were producing buses on a conveyor belt and vehicles. Now, people think Fords were the first to do this. They wasn't. It was AEC who was the first to produce conveyor belt to put things together. Famous bus, the B-type bus. This was built in Walthamstow in 1910 and went to the front line in the First World War. The first fully standardised bus in the world. Another first. So, and there's a bus coming out there going to Budapest, believe it or not. Went all over the world, the buses. And there's the guys there on the bus. I always say about the B-type bus, born in Walthamstow, died in France. And so many of them went to the front line, never came back again. But most of the drivers were actually drivers who were driving at that time for London General and other bus companies that took the buses over there with the troops. I think it was 2,500 B-type buses were built at Walthamstow. You know, again, why have we not got anything to show for this? I know why. Here's another bus, the NS bus, again, built at Walthamstow. Lovely picture of the ladies working there. And I don't know if you can see in the window a couple of ghostly figures looking out. There's the girls there obviously keeping the engines and machinery going during the war effort. 1927 to 1933, they made tractors in Walthamstow, AEC factory. The Ruston tractor, compatible with the Fordson. Unfortunately, obviously the Fordson got a bit more of a name, and the Ruston. This tractor is actually in the Science Museum collection at Roughton, which I hope to get back to Walthamstow where it's made in the future. Here's a picture of the factory. Actually, you can see the tracks there going round, and its own locomotive. I've never found out what locomotive it actually was that worked there. And of course, that factory actually went into the hands of a company called Eveready Batteries, and they produced batteries there after 1933. Now we're moving on to Wrighton's Aircraft Company, or Wrighton's Furniture Makers. They're actually in Billet Road, and they made 1,000 mosquitoes in Billet Road. First all-wooden fighter aircraft. Another first in the Lea Valley. Ensign cameras. Who's got an Ensign camera? Nobody? No. They were made at Fulbourn Road. Barnet Ensign, they were called, Limited. And there's some of the cameras that they made over the years. Never heard of that guy. Frederick Bremer, the first four-wheeled British all combustion engine motor car. Go back that one again. 1894, I think it was. I'm not too sure of the date, but I think it was 1894. Actually, at the moment, we don't know where it is. It was in Vestry House Museum. It was supposed to be, I argue with the council that it should be kept in the borough while they did Vestry House Museum up. They decided in their wisdom there'd be nobody suitable, but I'm pretty up on my museum standards. And where it's situated in the museum was not in the best of places because the doors were open. So air could go in and out. So it wasn't really kept in proper conditions. And I suggested that it could go to the Walthamstow Town Hall and put on show there. Or it could go to the Walthamstow Pump House Museum. But no, they decided they're going to send it to Bewley. Now, Bewley's in the Lea Valley, isn't it? But anyway, I'm still battling along with that one, but I've gone a bit quiet, and I don't really know. Hello? With that one. There we go. AV Row, Walthamstow Marshes, and its triplane, the Avro plane. And the Avro plane, I believe, was the first form of advertising on the side. It actually had on the side, it had Bullseye on the side of it. Now, Bullseye was AV Row's brother's company who made braces. Now, I would claim that Bullseye on the side of Avro's plane was the first form of advertising on aviation in Britain. And there's the plane, the triplane. There we are. Under these arches, Elliott Verdon Rowe enabled his AV Row #1 plane. 1909, he made the first British all-powered flight, another first in Lea Valley. Now, I'm very good friends with Eric Verdon Rowe, who's AV Row's grandson. And I don't know if some of you remember, 100 years in 2009, we actually had a celebration on the marshes. Anybody go to that? Yeah? And we got a replica constructed of the triplane. The original triplane is in the Science Museum. And again, a lot of Lea Valley firsts are in national museums. Now, I argue, if they're not important, why are they in national museums? And the triplane, we had replica on Walthamstow Marshes in 2009. I've been trying to get it here to the borough for a long, long while. But unfortunately, we've got nowhere to put it at the moment. But AV Row kindly sponsoring the Lea Valley Heritage Alliance to build a model of the plane. Quite a big one, about that big, which will go into a museum, a new museum possibly. I'll tell you about that later on. Gnome engines. Now, the Gnome engines were made in Billet Road under licence. Peter Hooker's actually made Gnome engines. They're rotary engines, and the rotary engines were actually put in the Avro 504s in Luton, which I mentioned earlier on. So that's another aviation connection with the Lea Valley. There we go. Victoria Line, the first automatic underground railway in the world. Started in Walthamstow, 1968. And we did a celebration of that not too long ago at the Pump House. Walthamstow Toys R Us. Now, and there's so many companies who made toys. You had Britain's Toys, you had Brim Toys, you had Maxbox Toys, you had Lido's, you had EFE models. They all came from the Lea Valley. So again, a massive, massive toy industry. And of course, Matchbox started in Hackney. And the guy who started Matchbox ended up, actually, the reason why Matchbox was declined is because there was a company designed, can't think of the name of them now. My grandson's got loads of them. Hot Wheels, that's it, Hot Wheels. They designed Hot Wheels, a company in America, Mattel. And because they when you push a matchstick car along, or matchbox car, they don't go very far, do they? But Hot Wheels has special wheels on, and they say go for miles. And my grandson loves them. He's got hundreds of them. And of course, Britain toys. We all know, we've seen Britain soldiers, and all the farm animals they used to make, and the cannons, and all kinds of things. Brim toys, they made tin plate toys, and I think there was a large collection of Brim toys at Vestry House Museum that Gary Hills collected. Good old Gary Hills. Why did they get rid of Gary Hills? I never know. There you go. Again, we're aviation. So Alan Cobham's Flying Circus. This is on Walthamstow Marshes, believe it or not. And Walthamstow Marshes, it was, yeah. Down by Low Hall, on this part of the marshes, they had an air show. And also they had air shows at Chingford Aerodrome. So Alan Cobham's Flying Circus. Now you can imagine, you can see the railway track there at the back there. Now you can imagine nowadays saying, oh, we're going to have an air show on Hackney Marshes, can't you? Yeah, I don't think so. There they are, up in the air. Gyrocopter, Imperial, and a few others, 504 there and a few others. Must have been a fantastic sight to see that. Now we're on to Walthamstow Central. And 1937, they had an exhibition there. There's probably about 60 or 70 railway artefacts there. Green Arrow was there. Doesn't mean much to you, some of you. A4 Pacific's Silver Link, Golden Eagle, railway carriages, wagons. And this is Tottenham Hotspur, B17 locomotive, being actually being actually named at that ceremony. And the thing about this story, it was actually Manchester City, but Manchester City wasn't ready. So they substituted it with Tottenham Hotspur. And eventually, that locomotive got streamlined, became the City of London. And about 60,000 people turned up for this ceremony. I've actually got, in my collection, the map. It's probably about that big. Or is it that big? That big. Of the exhibition with all the different locos that were actually there. I've also got the programme and a number of pictures that I've collected over the years. Who's that? Beck, yeah. Designer of the Underground map, Harry Beck, a Leytonstone guy, not Chingford, Leytonstone, unfortunately. Here he is, holding his map up. And there's the Underground map. Actually got the line on there, I don't know if you see it. It's Alexandra Palace. Now, the amount that the palace is being used today, wouldn't it have been a great idea to actually put this into practice and actually have an underground line to Alexandra Palace? Can you imagine it? How much traffic it would get. They built a station there, they had a station there, LNER, but they never used it. Unfortunately, all the tracks were ripped up and it never went on to its original destination. Cycles, also made actually in Leighton, Granfield cycles. They also later on made tipper trucks as well, Perkins. But you can see some of the Cranfield cycles in the picture there. There's also other, claim to fame of cycles, Walthamstow, but that's a bit of a long story, so I won't go into that one. Right, okay, let's move on. Right, here we go. Plessy Factory. Now, I'm still checking whether this used to go from Leytonstone to Redbridge. What it was the central line. When they dug the central line out, they actually put the tunnels in, but they weren't used. But Plessy's were actually at Ilford, and the Germans knew where they were. So it actually used to well, actually went underground, and they used the tunnels for armaments, etc., to make them there. So it was quite safe. That's a factory, a picture of the factory, underground factory, in the underground tunnels of the Central Line extension, which didn't happen until after the war. I do like this one, showing an old Leytonstone sign with an old LNER engine. Of course, the LNER used to run trains right to Epping at one time, and then on to Ongar, obviously, which they don't do anymore. You've got the Ongar Railway Preservation Society, who are trying to get trains running all the way from Ongar into Epping. It's a pretty interesting thing. You get a bus from Epping to North Weald, a vintage bus, or an RM, an RT, or whatever it is, and actually end up at North Weald, have a ride on the train, come back again, have a cup of tea, whatever, I don't know, beer or something. There we go. Thermos flasks, 1917. Of course, there's a connection with thermos, obviously the diode valve and all the other things they used to make. They made thermos flasks in the Lea Valley, and they moved to Leyton, and on the next picture you'll see a couple of the girls actually packing in the thermos flasks into cases. Right, moving on now. Right, transport again. This is a picture of the North Metropolitan Tramways, horse-drawn cart. Now, the North Metropolitan used to run trams in East London before obviously it got electrified. And this is obviously a picture of a horse and cart tram. But the thing about this was, one of these trams actually got converted into a battery tram. So, again, we have another first. We have the first form of battery-powered vehicle in Britain, which was a battery tram. There's a plan of one of the trams, which was probably converted. Also had compressed air trams, which actually went from Stratford, Greenman to Leytonstone, the Greenman Leytonstone, being filled up on the left there with compressed air. And that at the back was called a dummy, believe it or not, and used to pull the trams up and down Leytonstone High Road. Beaumont's compressed air tram. Now the story about Beaumont, there actually is a Beaumont estate in Hackney, in Leyton. And Major Beaumont, he loves this compressed air stuff. He actually started digging a channel tunnel before anybody else did. And the idea was he would run his railway trains on compressed air through the channel tunnel. But that didn't go anywhere. So that's what Beaumont, Major Beaumont he was called. And now we have another one. We have a steam carriage, again, that run up and down Stratford, Broadway to Leytonstone, the Green Man. A Merryweather and Company steam engine. And they used to have Merryweather's horse-drawn carriages run up and down Lea Bridge Road. I've actually got a ticket from that actual company somewhere, I'm sure I have. Here we have another famous happening, the Tottenham Outrage. My late mother, I don't know if anybody's seen my late mother's book on the Tottenham Outrage, but they did a wage snatch at Tottenham, which went across the marshes, and hijacked a tram somewhere down where Sainsbury's, I believe. And you can see he's got the gun to his head, and he drove all the way up to Forest Road, where they didn't shoot him, unfortunately. It was not a murder there, but there's plenty of murders before that. And the guys, they run all the way up to, anybody know? Royal Oak. Okay, that's right. One shot himself, and the other one died of his wounds. But they never, ever found the money. So who's got it? Own up. I think David's very quiet at the back there. I think he's got it. And there's an E1 tram car. Actually, this was made at Leytonstone. It's in the London Transport Museum. And when I told them where it was made, they didn't know. So I told them, so they do know now. Lea Bridge Road. I used your picture because you've actually got the picture of the signal box at the back on the right hand side above the carriage. And you've got the Lea Bridge name there. That's actually, believe it or not, sitting in my front room. Owned by the Pump House Museum, but they never collected it. So if they want it, they can have it. It's actually theirs. They pay for it. So Temple Mills Marshalling Yard, one of the largest marshalling yards in Britain. 52 yards of railway track. The trains used to come in, used to go over a hump and get sorted into sidings, sorting sidings, and then they go on to their journey wherever they're going to. But Temple Mills, they built 33,000 railway wagons there and repaired millions. Now, you wouldn't even know that. Now, there's a place called Sheldon up in the north of England where they got the National Railway Museum, second part. And that used to be a railway works, but nowhere like Temple Mills. So you have to think to yourself, well, why haven't we got a museum celebrating all this industrial heritage? Don't know the answer to that question. Here we are, doing some work on the engines, wagons, sorry. Right, moving on to Stratford Works. Now, Stratford Railway Works was the largest railway works in Britain at one time. And you can see a picture there. You've got the standard gauge on the left and the narrow gauge this side, left and standard gauge. At the back there, you've got a roundhouse. And the roundhouse was called the Polygon. And there's a few roundhouses in London, but that one was at Stratford, which is gone now, obviously, when they knocked it all down. Love this picture. This is the entrance to the railway works. And the railway works is just on the right-hand side there. People coming in and out there. Right, another first. The fastest engine built in the world, steam engine. This engine was built in 9 hours and 47 minutes. From chassis to out on the rails. And that's at first. It's still a first. No one else has built an engine in 9 hours and 47 minutes. Next one is a loco called Petrolea. Now, they used to have a lot of oil to light the lamps in the carriages. And they decided that they weren't going to put it into River Lee anymore, which they did. And decided to use it for fuel for a locomotive. Hence the name Petrolea. And the tender at the back is actually for oil. So it was an oil-fired locomotive, again built at Stratford. This is Decapod, an 010, the most powerful locomotive at its time. It could pull carriages, 300-tonne carriages, 0 to 30 in 30 seconds. It was so powerful, it used to rev up the tracks. So heavy. But eventually they said, well, we can design an engine that can pull carriages. You don't need electric trains. We've got this one. But unfortunately, again built by James Holden, I forgot to mention earlier. Obviously, it was actually changed into a goods engine, but that was the end of that. But it never happened. Of course, now we've got electrification on the Liverpool Street line and up Chingford and Enfield and all the other. Nice picture here of Stratford, as it used to be, with the old red carriages. Okay. First railway murder was in the Lea Valley by a guy called, forgot his name now. Anyway, it was, Mr. Briggs was the guy who got murdered. Franz Muller was the guy. He eventually got caught. They chased him all the way to America and got him back again. He didn't admit to the murder until the noose was placed around his neck and he said, yeah, I did it. But that's an interesting story. On the North London Railway, Britain's first again, sorry about that, railway murder. The book's interesting. That's actually covered the book. I've got that book. Walter Hancock. Now, Walter Hancock was a guy who designed steam carriages at Stratford. And the one to the right used to run from Stratford down to Brighton and back. It was the first form of passenger carrying, fare paying steam carriages. And the one to the left is a replica. Now, we had that at the Pump House Museum in 2010, I believe. It's a replica of the Enterprise. There were so many Enterprise. There was an Infant. There was the Enterprise. There was this one. There were so many different types of steam carriage that Walter Hancock built. None are preserved, but the one on the left is a replica. Now, I was actually given that by a guy called Tom Brogan, who actually built it. Now, he left that to the museum, but I don't know what's happened to it because I can't find out where it is. It could be still at the place at Manchester where he used to live. I just don't know. But I did try and get that down to be put on show at the Pump House, but we're still, I'm afraid, waiting for that. Williams Bridget Adams invented the fish plate, the rail fish plate, figure 1. When they joined together, he invented that. And the other one is the first steam rail car invented in Britain. So another first. There's other inventions of William Bridges. He actually had a factory at the old Matchbox place, where they built the matches down at Bow. And that was his factory. And he built some engines for the Great Eastern Railway as well. But it's the first form steam railway carriage. I think he also invented the improved railway carriage, which is a carriage that had all kinds of, with no seats and others, all kinds of things inside it. But there's another guy who's part of the railway history of the area. Carlos Petrel. Now, Carlos Capel Leonard invented the name petrol out of Leighton. Actually, Leighton's actually Hackney, really. They used to sell petrol in gallon drums, like you can see on the left there. Now, those were actually in shops, hotel foyers, sweet shops. You can imagine today, I'm going to sell my petrol in a sweet shop. Are you really? That's Carlos Petrel. Also credited for the invention of the carburettor, so I've been told. And there you go. Right, another first. First cabled-hauled railway, apparently, in Britain. The London and Blackmore Railway. What used to happen is the carriages used to be pulled along by a string or cable. They go to the next one, they stop and uncouple. They go to the next one, they stop and uncouple. Go to the next one, they stop and uncouple. And so on until they get to Blackwall, because it was from Minneris to Blackwall. On the way back, they pull the carriage, it connects up again. They pull the carriage, it connects up again. And so on, until it got back to its destination. That was called the fourpenny rope. We can understand why, because it was actually a cabled-hauled railway. And a lot of the tracks of that are actually used now for the Docklands Light Railway. Right, here we go. Thames Ironworks, shipbuilders. They actually built ships at the bottom of the River Lee. And the Thames Ironworks, they not only did build boats, they built buses, they built cars, they built the bridge that goes over the Tay, is it the Tay? The Brunel's Bridge, iron was used for that. Blackwall Tunnel, the rings for the Blackwall Tunnel were made there. Here's one of the boats being launched. I don't know what that one is, but again, one of the boats built there. And from that, Thames Ironworks Football Club. Now, who's a West Ham supporter? Oh, I didn't think it was. And of course, the West Ham Football Club actually came from the Thames Ironworks. Eh? That's right, the irons, yeah. They're like that, aren't they? Like that. And here's one of the famous boats, the Warrior, which was on the BBC programme yesterday, but it didn't mention where it was made. Made at the Thames Ironworks. First ironclad warship in the world with a steam engine, powerful steam engine, had its own laundry on there. And I don't think it ever fired its guns in anger, but it's down at Portsmouth. Right, we have just a little bit more to show. Carry on camping. Now, as you know, I've always been passionate about having a Lea Valley Industrial Museum. Now, the place where I wanted that to happen is the Walthamstow Pump House. And over the years, many images and drawings have been presented to the council. That's the entrance. Not big, but big enough. But there's more to see. So this would have been, it may still happen, we don't know. The Walthamstow Pump House Museum being the Lea Valley Heritage Museum. Wait and see. There's the aerial view of it. You can see the gallery space there. You can see the tramway. You can see the pump house to the right. You can see in the middle, you can see a fire station because you've got quite a few fire appliances there. That's upstairs. And you can see the road triplane. You can see a cafeteria. You can see display space. You can see exhibition space. You can see office space. All fitted into that design. And there we go, another picture of it. All measured up, all costed up. That's the gallery downstairs where the underground trains would go. There's a bus there. There's a locomotive. There's a lorry. There's shops telling different stories, commodities made in the Lea Valley. Here's an aerial view of it. You see the fire station in the middle. Another picture of it. And the fire station coming up. Here's the fire station next to the pump house. Here we are. Plessy Tunnel. We even incorporated a replica Plessy Tunnel in the design. Oh, there we go. That's another view of it from the back from Lowhall Lane. It's inside. You can see the tramway tracks. You can see an AA box. Here's the petrol station, telling the story of petrol. So, who knows? Well, I have actually spoken to the leader of the council. I've put my cards on the table. I said, well, we have an opportunity here still. If you want to put some money into the Pump House Museum, we can have it as a Lea Valley Museum. The answer is yes or no. A simple answer to a simple question. So if the answer is no, we do have a place to go to. Still been working on. It's between you and the gatepost. It's called the West Ham Pumping Station. They have 2 beam engines there, 1880. They have cafeteria space all ready to roll. They have gallery space. They have railway track. They have parking for about 150 cars. It's right next to Abbey Road Station, literally a stone's throw. So we are thinking about our future. We did talk to the Gunpowder Mill, as I said earlier, but there's no way that's a goer at the moment. Excuse me. So that's the situation. And I hope some of the councillors are listening, because anybody on there that we know? No? Well, I hope Councillor Rosalind Dorr was listening, because she is the portfolio holder for culture in the borough. So there we are, but I won't know. In relation to the website is finished. We're now waiting for the homepage and the About Us to go live, and now we'll start feeding stories onto the website. There'll be some stories on there you haven't heard. Things like the London Rubber Company, the Cork Company, Phillips Records, electrical companies. There's quite a bit of industry on the North Circular Road, which is on the website. But I'm hopeful. Well, we'll see how things go. But we've had a nice letter from the Minister for Culture about the museum. I think the government has supported, but we haven't seen any money yet. But you never know. You never know. If things start happening, and we get West Ham or we get the Pump House, then I think the funding will come either from the lottery. Council might put some money in, but I don't know. I don't know yet. But the opportunity is there, and all I can do is say, look, here we are. I think that's the last one, actually, isn't it? There we are. End of slideshow. Click to exit. There we go. There's our friend. Yeah. Anyway, there we are.
Lindsay, absolutely fascinating. Certainly a lot of interest there.
Let's go on stiff again.
Are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions about what they've seen? Bear with us, please.
Yeah, an excellent, comprehensive talk on the Lea Valley Heritage Site, Lindsay. Congratulations. My own comments would address the Bremner car. I wrote a monograph on it. I think it was in the Wolf Forest Echo,
yep,
and etc., the local history magazine, which is produced locally, as you know. That seems to be a flagship vehicle that, should your success with the National Lottery go ahead, would you not be able to house it locally?
We have a replica, which was actually made for the Frederick Bremer School in Fulbourn Road. They had a replica, they had it on the show at one time, but they took it apart. Well, they didn't take it apart, they took it out and put it at the back with a cover over it, and we rescued it from the Frederick Bremer School. It's actually at the Pump House, so chances of getting the original down to West Ham are probably zero, but the Pump House, maybe, if we build the gallery. What we need there is a gallery space, and above, for a restaurant, a proper restaurant. I know some of you have been to the underground car and had a meal on the underground car there, on the pop-up restaurant. But that's what we really need. We need a gallery space, because you can't put that out in the open. And that is the problem. It's like the Roe replica triplane. If that was undercover, we'd have it tomorrow. Some of the buses from the LT Museum, we'd have tomorrow. So that is the problem. It's undercover space.
Okay, any other questions for Lindsay? Anyone else out there got a question for him from what you've seen this evening? Anyone online?
Jennifer is saying, my mother worked in the offices at Wrighton's during the war, and she was in the photo that you showed.
Oh, was she?
And she's she also has a couple of other photos as well. So.
Can she send them to me? I do have other photos of Wrighton's, actually making the mosquitoes. But yeah, anybody's got any photos? I know you probably give them to Gary, but I've got great. I've got a great collection of photos of ASC, railways, etc.
And just a couple of other people saying thank you for a fascinating talk.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you doing it.
Okay, Lindsay, well, look, thank you very much indeed for attending this evening and giving us a fascinating story. Let's have one.
Just say, we, like anybody else, are organisation that rely on donations and membership. We do have a membership subscription to Lea Valley Heritage Alliance. It helps run our costs. Nobody gets paid. We're all freelance. And eventually it will go on the website. But the membership of the Lea Valley Heritage Alliance for an independent person is 25 quid. And that's not a lot of money. I know it's hard, you know, at the moment. But if anybody's interested in becoming a member, I'll give you my card after. You can email me, and I'll send you some details how you can do that. We are a constituted organisation. We have a bank account. We're actually about to become a limited company as well. So, you know, all the money we get, and we did get, by the way, I must mention this, we got £1,200 from the councillors, the ward councillors, Roy and Emma, to produce the website. So we did get funding from the council for that at least. But once they see, well, I'm sure they know, once they see the importance of the region, you know, I mean, hands up, who thinks we should have a Lea Valley Museum?
I do.
Nearly everybody. There you go. So, you know, it's, who knows? Anyway, I can't stand any longer because my legs are just freezing up.
Once again, big round of applause for Lindsay. Thank you.
I'm going to sit down, mate.